So you're going to see when you go into the content page, you can scroll down here and go to the Annotated Bibliography module. You'll notice that this is labeled as proctored, so that means that you have to schedule a time in one of the three options, the Distance Ed Center, ProctorU, or a one-on-one proctoring session that you set up with an individual. You can go up here to the proctored exams info and see all the information for the time, the different options with links to how you can schedule for Sign Up Genius, scheduling for ProctorU, which requires a fee. And then here's the information for setting up individual proctoring. And then notice right here are the 2 letters that you'll have to send for each proctoring assignment to your individual proctor. So this is the letter that you'll need to send to that person that's going to proctor you. And then right here is a description of what you can bring to the exams with you and what you can access on the computer. So again, you can check that out in the proctoring exams info. So let's go back down here. Please just note, sometimes maybe you'll see these like this with the arrow this way. You click it and it'll open it up. You can see all the different handouts and things. So down here is where you will upload your file during your proctored exam. Notice that it's not live right now because the proctored exam is between these 2 dates. So it'll be available starting the 25th. This is for our proctored exam peer review, or I'm sorry, annotated bib peer review. And then here are all of the files that are associated with this assignment. So this is the instructions to the assignment that include an example. This is your master guide to the MLA that has information about how to summarize, that kind of stuff. This is the template that you can open to use for the exam. So you can open this up and you'll see that everything is already laid out in proper format and spacing. So you can open that during your exam and type your paper there. This is the rubric that I'll be using to grade it. And then again, here's that proctoring letter for the bib. So let's look here at this handout. This is the actual assignment itself. So you can see under the general description that this assignment asks you to practice the course objectives that relate to documentation in MLA style, but it also covers some of our critical thinking and essay writing kind of skills, in that you're supposed to summarize and evaluate sources for rhetorical appeals. So this will cover several of our course objectives. This also helps prepare you for the very next major assignment, which is the rhetorical analysis essay. So this is 400 points. It is one of your 4 major required assignments. If you do not complete this and submit it, you cannot pass the class. It's kind of statistically impossible. If you miss one of the 400-point assignments, you're not probably going to pass anyway. But even if you have eked out a D or a low C, you will not pass the class because you're missing one of the primary assignments. Again, I've pointed out here that this is proctored and you have to submit it in the assignment folder during your proctored exam. And then down here in this last bullet point, you'll a reminder that you have to save it as a docx and that you have to save it with this file naming protocol. So whatever your last name is, an underscore, and then the words annotated bib. You don't have to say .docx, it'll add that automatically for you. And you'll be reminded of this in the upload folder in Brightspace when you turn it in. So what are the parts of the annotated bibliography? The first part of the bib is a works cited entry for your source. And again, you follow exactly the formatting rules for an MLA works cited entry. The only difference is that in an essay, you put all of your works cited entries on the very last page alphabetized. But for an annotated bibliography, you actually put the works cited entries where an essay would go right after the title, and then you follow each one of those with an annotation. So it is a little bit different, but you still alphabetize by each works cited entry. The second part of the bibliography is the annotation part. This is a double-spaced, blocked, indented paragraph, and you're going to have three components to this paragraph. You're going to, first of all, in one or two sentences, tell me what the authors claim and what are the major conclusions that support that claim that the author makes. Right? So basically, what is the thesis and what are the topic sentences and a final conclusion, right? Now, sometimes it's not that easy because if you're reading a professional essay, there oftentimes is not a clear thesis. There's not a clear three-part essay structure where the paragraphs begin with a topic sentence. So it's oftentimes implied. So you have to read the article, really kind of get to know what it's about and think about what is the argument being made here? What is the author trying to argue? And sometimes in professional essays, you may see the question, the research question at the beginning as opposed to a specific claim. And so sometimes you can figure out what the claim is by looking at the question that the author has posed at the beginning of the essay in the introduction section. Sometimes you do see something that is very close to a thesis. Sometimes that doesn't come into the end. Again, this is one of the difficulties in trying to figure out, like, what is an author doing here? They don't follow that real clear-cut format of an academic essay. So you need to figure out what is the argument and then what does the author basically say to prove it? What is the end game here at the end that the author gives us in terms to make us believe the credibility and the veracity of the claim? The second part is going to be probably the longest of all of your sections because you're supposed to look for the rhetorical triangle in the article. So how is the author using logos? How is he using pathos? How is he using ethos in the essay? And you don't have to track every single one of these things, but you need to go through and mark the essay and then just give some examples with an indication of, you know, how much was the use of any one of these. Was one more predominant than the other? Was it well balanced? And then your final thing will be, you know, a few sentences where you're supposed to then look at the use of the three appeals, the rhetorical triangle, and then give an evaluation of how credible and trustworthy the author has been in those appeals. Has the author fallen into propaganda or fallacy? And if so, what are some examples of where that has happened?